Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the fourth episode of Agile Toolkit Hangouts. This is the second season, and in this season we develop a student enrollment application for a small private school. So far we have created all the CRUDs and many processes here, such as Enrollment Wizard. And last time we worked on a couple of reports with ability to see who is going to attend, and also printing things out. So, Brett, how was the impression from the last week's episode? You said it was too much.
It was very good. We went a couple of hours last time.
2 hours,
so
yes.
It was a lot of brain activity, but very good stuff.
Yeah, I thought about trusting someone to convert the video and audio inside some sort of typed in tutorials, so that they can actually create a step-by-step tutorial on the paper.
That would be great.
That would be great, because a lot of people just can't follow, difficult to follow the video Hangouts, but that's the best way for me to get it out, and then someone else could convert. So if any of you who is watching is willing to convert this screencast into an actual tutorial, you please talk to me, and we can decide on how to proceed with this. Okay, so in this episode we promised to do more about the billing, and Brad, could you explain how the billing system works and what do we need?
Sure. The billing system is going to allow the administrator of the system to actually send out invoices based on the classes that have been taken by not just a company, but by a specific billing contact, because some companies have multiple departments which have different or multiple billing contacts. So the way that it will work is we'll have an invoicing navigation menu or tab. When we go there, we'll be able to generate, we'll be able to see all unpaid invoices, and from there we'll be able to pick who we'd like to send invoices to and send them out ultimately via PDF or via email.
Okay. Right, and invoice is also going to have a status, whether or not they have been paid.
That's correct. Yeah, we will have to, if we don't have that currently, we'll have to add the fact if it's been paid or non-paid.
Okay, good. So, I don't think we actually have a class for invoices yet. So let's start by creating a new class, a new model. Sorry, I mean model. Yeah, don't have anything for invoice. Okay, so I'm going to pick up something else here. And adopt. Take a look at invoices table. Okay, could you tell me, or maybe Lee, Lee, are you there? Maybe could you explain to our viewers about how invoice is linked with enrollments? So through this field.
What we're doing is on the page where we have a list of all unbilled enrollments currently in the system, separated out by billing contact. From there, you have select boxes. You can select however many you want and create an invoice. What we do on the back end is we take all those enrollment IDs and put them in the database as comma-separated values for us to take out later. We then also go into the enrollments table and mark the enrollments as payment pending.
Okay. And when we generate those, we obviously are able to pick the company, and it will also show us who is a billing person from that company. Can company have multiple billing IDs?
Yes, a company can have multiple billing IDs, but a billing ID can only have one company ID.
Yeah, okay, and I think we have that. By the way, the way we have implemented is through this pop-up, so you could see all the contact names here, and you can pick a company ID. But is it actually usable the way like this, or should there be?
Yeah, I think that's a good way of doing it.
Or I thought, if you maybe when you added a company, it will have a list of people here. So somehow put it together with edit.
Click add.
Huh?
If you click on add,
Yeah.
okay, no, that's fine. What you do is then you would go to the billing page and add a billing contact, because usually our workflow, the way our client is currently doing, is they would add a company and then add a billing contact to that company.
Right. Okay. Well, I suppose maybe at some other later point we could create a wizard which creates a company first and then the billing person.
Yeah, a wizard would be ideal, but not necessary, I don't think.
Okay. So I'm gonna finish with this thing here. And invoice sent. Have I actually mentioned what are system fields? What do they do? If I set the system flag to true.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, we could perhaps look at that. Front end, I'm just adding it to the menu. So this all have been explained before.
Yep.
It says oh, that's wouldn't need that. Yeah, there's a spelling mistake.
Model invoice.
Okay. And right, so we default value. Good. So we have pretty much the same we had in the database now. Same content. And
Yep.
so I promised to tell you about the system fields, and some of the fields they don't really need it for users to see. We need to hide them. At the same time, they're pretty essential for some of the functionality or filtering, and for that we could declare field as system. So invoice sent add, I could set it as a system, and now it disappears. But another important point here, even though the field is system, it will still appear in the query.
Great.
Unlike simply hiding fields, which means if I want to highlight the columns in red, which don't have an invoice, for example, that, or maybe the invoice was sent too long ago and the status is not being paid yet, then I can definitely read the values from this field, but it's not appearing by default. So that's what system fields are.
Great.
Okay, so that's the invoices, and I'm gonna create a separate page for generating a new invoice. Or do we need to do the PDF first?
I think we would do the generate the invoice first.
Okay, let's build the UI first. Focus on building the UI. Right, so how do we want to get there? Should we come to this page and click a button, or should it be a new item in the menu? Any other way? From the companies, maybe click. How would you like that?
Currently we have it going, you click on invoices and it brings you to the actual links to get to everything there.
Okay.
So it's basically an invoicing section.
So let's hide this.
Yeah, we have everything.
Sorry.
We have everything separated out on different pages right now,
Yeah.
just for.
Yeah, we can move them later on. One other thing, inside the invoices, I have reference to multiple enrollments here. If I go inside enrollment, I have those values for tuition and book cost.
Yep.
These are
Correct.
pretty much just there in a database, right? So my question is, how can we calculate the total invoice amount based on this data?
Well, we just currently run a query where I pull out tuition and courseware. I use the explode function to explode all those values, the comma separated values, out into an array. Run a query on that array, pull out the tuition and courseware, and then do an array sum.
Okay, so we need to query enrollments and pick up tuition and book costs. We're looking for both fields combined?
No, I keep them separated, and then we do math. We do some basic math on them.
Okay, so inside the invoice, there's going to be two separate fields, one for enrollment and another for...
No, let's just do tuition. Forget the courseware cost completely.
Okay, let's just do that for now. Essentially, what I want to do is to build the backend calculation logic first, and then we do the breakdowns with the invoicing. But just to demonstrate how money could be handled. Right, so I'm going to build a query which selects a sum of all tuition fees for enrollments, which IDs are listed in here. So 16, 22, and 25. By the way, the ID field is system by default. So if I want this field to appear,
I see.
I could change that, please.
I see. Okay.
And, or hold on, how do I do that?
System files.
Okay, yeah. So 16, 22, 25. Is it even 16? Okay. Okay, let's say tuition was 10, books 20, then we had 22. And 25?
Yep.
Okay, something like that. Probably totally off from what they are in reality. Okay, next I need to go inside the invoice and start a new field here. Please. So that field is going to be called total tuition. Now, when we, I think we did set a couple of expressions already. So let me just think where. Yeah, for example, in class dates, we had expression like that. And
Yeah, I remember that.
yeah, the one we're going to build now is going to be slightly different. I'm going to use a callback method, like that, callback function. And the difference is sometimes invoice might rely on the model for enrollment, and enrollment may rely to the invoice and so on. But if we're trying to initialize them from init method, we can run into a situation where they depend to each other, and we get into dead loop. So in order to avoid that, we can create the callback here, and the callback will be only called when we actually select data from the model. So when we define the invoice model, it wouldn't be used. It is only when the field is actually used in a query, this is going to be used. So for now, I'm going to do 2 plus 2. Start simple, and we have the total tuition, which is 4. Calculated as expression, and my SQL does this for me. Next. Okay, we need to build some sort of relation here, but the problem I see is that because you're using the comma separated value, we can't really build has many or has one relation, because that's it would attempt to join them somehow, but it's not supported. So instead, I will need to add a new model. Enrollment, and just now as example, I'll do count of all. Oh, sorry, not count, but sum. What was it called? Tuition. Okay, let's see if that would work for us. No. So what happens here? Select from enrollment. Would count work? Yeah, count works fine. So something with a sum. Let's try using DSQL. So each model is based on the DSQL object, and DSQL is our dynamic query. If for some reason we can't achieve something with DSQL, we can always fall back to, if we can't achieve with the model, we can always fall back to DSQL and do something with it. So in this case, it will return the respective field. And I think we can do that. Right. Okay, now it works. I'll add the debug to show what's happening. So now it says select sum tuition from enrollment. Okay, and here's this model. Now, if model would have any condition defined inside enrollment class, such as here, soft delete, some other conditions, doesn't matter, or maybe it would be a different class like enrollment, whatever, then those would be automatically applied for us. And this is important thing. So if developer changes the enrollment later on, so changes business logic, such as adding a soft delete, automatically all other invoices which refer to enrollment will take that into account. And here we also should say where ID in, and then we need to pass this this expression with multiple values. For now, let's try to do it. Enrollment IDs. Let's see if this would work. Why is it null? I see. Okay. This is because it requires an expression. Element. Okay, so what do we have now? Select sum from enrollment where ID in invoices.enrollments ID. Do we need to explode that field? Is there a MySQL way to explode it?
If you look in the chat here on the right side, Imans was saying something about a possible.
You can find. Okay, that's an interesting one.
I didn't know about
Yeah, me neither. Right, let's try it. Where? So how do we do it? Find and set. We need to use expression here. So traditional where condition is one field operator and another field. If we want to do something fancy, we are passing expression in there. So if I put something like that, okay, one bracket too many. Oops. I shouldn't have brackets. Okay, so if I do that, it says where, and then it puts my expression here, and also surrounds it in brackets just to be safe. That means I can put anything in here. For example, the other thing we can do is use fix test 1, 2. Let's see how that works. Okay, so it says where test. It puts a method in here. The method we're gonna use is called find in set. That goes here, and then we pass array with arguments, and the first is the company ID. For now I'll just type 1 and 2, and let's closely follow what happens with my query. So find in set, and there is 1 and there is 2, but I need to specify the field instead. So the first field, and again I'll try by simply typing the field name, which is ID. And this wouldn't exactly work because it treats it as a parameter. So it actually puts it inside parametric variable and it plugs inside there, and that's why it's green. So that's not exactly what we want. Instead, we could either use expression again or m. Yeah, let's separate this. Let's say enrollment is over here. Okay, let's see what happens now. Enrollment ID. Yeah. PHP. returns a field of the model. Nope, it doesn't work for some reason. Okay, I'll just use expression then. T-square. So it stopped working altogether. Did I change something in another file? No. Ah, sorry. I see what's wrong. I forgot to return. Do the return here. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, if some of you is typing and telling me where my mistake is, I don't see, so I need to tell me with voice. Anyway, so we have the ID field here, which is what we want. Now we need to put the other field in there. By the way, I'm just gonna try the same thing I tried before with get element ID, because it just might work, and it works. So we're enrollment, and you see it's still the same ID field, but it's prefixed properly. And let me put M ID in here. So we reference proper fields. Now, yeah, I think it works perfectly. We got the total tuition here, which is 140. Yeah, it was 100 plus 10 and plus 30 or something like that. Yeah. So this thing actually works. So thanks to Imans for suggesting this method. It's pretty cool, I have to say, and it's exactly what we need. Right, so we got a column which says tuition, total tuition, but that's per invoice basis. Let's take our challenge to next level and now go to the company and see if we can get a total amount of unpaid invoices. Okay, so I'm going to the company. I will copy this. And again, I can't really use the reference here directly, because we would be looking for the enrollment joined with a billing person which matches our company. So there is a table in between. That's why it's not as easy to achieve here. Sorry, not enrollment, but invoice. Okay, let's start by invoice. Turn. How do I? Okay, let's start with something basic. So that's a number of all the invoices altogether. But we want to have a join. So we need to join invoice with the billing ID. Join billing. using billing ID. Okay, it's still 12. Now that's J here. We are adding field, which would be coming from the billing and needs to say company ID. So I'm adding company ID. And I need to put a condition saying n where company ID equals, and here we need to use expression. We can't use the actual value because it is used in a multi-line query. So I'm typing m get element ID. Okay, let's see if this will work. Right, so the first company has one invoice, this company has two invoices, and so on. So we just made a invoice count.
Cool.
But of course, that's all invoice. What we're really interested in is unpaid invoice. So we need to add another condition, which would be status unpaid. I think. Maybe not. Status. Okay, sent, unsent. Is there status? There is status for paid, right?
Yeah, the default is unsent and then sent and then paid.
Okay, so it should say status not equal paid. Okay, now it works. So, hopefully it works. I don't think we have anyone, let's say, rich products. Now, who is his billing ID? Yeah, it's a bit complex now, poking through this. Okay.
I think it looked like I saw 3 billing ID 37s under invoices.
Sorry? 37?
1, 2,
3, yeah.
3.
Okay, what if I change that to paid? Go back to company. Who was 37? Bueno.
Yeah, I think it was that one. Now it says 2. Oh, it was billing ID I was talking about, not company ID.
Oh, yeah, yes, that's right. So, okay, if we look at the billing, then 37 is Jack Jones for the company 54. So we'll look at the company 54 now. And it's these guys. So 2 invoices only. Okay. Looks good.
Yep.
Next stop, and might be challenging. See how it works. And it is to try and get a number of all unpaid invoices. So I'm probably using the same thing here, but instead of count, I'll try against sum. And I need was it total tuition field? Invoice. Okay, now queries start look really scary. So if something is not working, that looks scary. Invoice. Luckily, there are a few ways how we can help and debug this. I could say this. Field expression for might be able to do something like that. query, and then it basically tries to show only a single field, and it fails. But it's easier to debug when we just focus on a single field. So it tries to select expression inside, select all invoices, join billing, blah, pay invoice from company. So what's the problem here? Syndex violation near asterisks invoice ID. So okay, that's. I'd like to look inside model table. So what's wrong with this get element? Well, now it looks good. Okay, let's try to do it manually. So first I need the DSQL expression from N, and I will try to simply do Q field count. Just start for now. Okay, so that works. So we're selecting again count of all invoices. That's pretty much the same thing we had down here. Now let's, instead of asterisk, set a particular field, but we need to use Q fix sum. Okay, what about if we use that? So that should give us select sum of ID. Okay, that's what we want. But instead of ID now, we need to use a proper query for that model which we are referencing to. That's n get element total tuition field query. It's other way around, field query like this. Right, pretty awesome. Select some here. Let's put in more debug, and that's also the Q2, and I would say Q2 debug, something like that. Okay, I'm not sure. I have to say I'm not sure what's happening here. So some of these subqueries, if any of you have a clue. Oh, I think I know. Yeah, that shouldn't be field query. Yeah, let me think about that, and I can post whatever I find in the next episode then. So I will not do it. Just leave with the invoice count. But it was an ambitious idea, and I'm pretty sure it's possible to do it. I just know probably I'm missing something essential here. Right, if we can't do it like that, we could do it on the record level and cache those values. It should be easier. So whenever invoice changes, we could say recalculate for that particular company total amount of invoices, and we could do it that way. But anyway, I'm a little bit distracted from what we started doing initially. Let's make it possible to click here and expand this, and if there are any invoice for this company, let's find a way how we can send. Or sorry, were we supposed to generate invoice if the company has enrollments which are not invoiced yet?
That's correct.
Yeah, so we don't actually care how many invoices are there, but we need to know how many enrollments, uninvoiced invoices are there. Yeah,
that's
nice.
correct.
So, okay, enrollment. Does it have a field to show if it was invoiced or not? Invoice status. Lovely. And to reach into the enrollments, is there a direct connection? Yeah, there is a company ID. Perfect. So let's say company has many invoices, and on invoice part we're using, oh sorry, not invoice but enrollment, class ID, student ID. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a company ID as well.
Oh, there is. Yeah.
Company ID. Okay, weird. I had that field, but it was removed. So for the company, we have one invoice. Company ID. No, company ID. Should like that. Do I need to explain how this works?
Actually, that doesn't exist. It's invoice.billing
Company
ID, actually.
No, there's enrollment, and it has company ID.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep,
So
that's great.
I thought there was a question why both billing and company ID, but for whatever reason it remained.
Is that that's the enrollment table you're
Oh,
in,
that's
though.
the company table.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're
I don't know
right.
what I'm saying.
Enrollment. So yeah, that's what we need, and we'll need to build an expression for uninvoiced enrollments. So that's a number of enrollments which haven't been invoiced yet. We don't need to add anything here. We can use this, M FSQL enrollment. Okay, much simpler if there's the direct link in there. So back to companies, enrollment. Yes.
Moment. I think he has many. Then you have to separate the model and the field names. It's with join that you do the dot. But
like that, yeah.
If it has many, you have to separate.
Company ID. It's not capital. Okay, good. So we have uninvoiced enrollments. Should we double check reach productions? Oops. Yeah, there are at least two. There are two, 1 and 2. Yeah, and uninvoiced, and it says payment pending, so we only want uninvoiced now.
Yes.
Okay, so we could add condition here. Invoice status uninvoiced. Back to company, and it now has only one. All right.
Perfect.
Now we need some sort of a button here to be able to expand this. So we need to go back to the page company. That's our grid here. Okay, we have button, this grid. And I'll create a expander here. No, it's other way around. You can call it test for now to show what it is. So expander is a column, and if I click on the button, it inserts a blank inside the page and opens something inside of it. So in this case, I'm using the test column, and it loads that thing out. Let's get a little bit more fancy with the columns, and there was a way how we can modify inside the grid existing column. Okay, grid. Okay, so there's a method called add formatter, which allows us to add additional formatter for existing field. Instead of creating a new field, I'm going to add formatter for the field, which would be called uninvoiced enrollments. Okay, let's see if that will work. Yeah, so and the way how expander works in collaboration with the field is that if the field has any value which is non-zero, it would show the field on the button. Otherwise, it would put the same as the title. So that's not too great as well. So let's try to add another formatter, which will be template. Okay, it should complete now, and we need to use set template. Okay. Let's try just a basic template. How do I do that? And there is a bit of magic in grid, but that should be cleaned up a little bit and properly documented. So that invoiced enrollments set template. Okay, did it actually change anything? Well, it's not combining very well. So I can specify a template for the field and type something like total equals, and then put unvoiced enrollments here, and it just changed the way how the field value is presented in a grid. But
wasn't there a function add template?
so that's implementation of the column. It's pretty old, I have to say, and then maybe.
Yeah, but instead of set template, I think there was also something like add template.
Let me think.
I'm not sure.
Well, there's a set template clearly here, and I don't see anything for add template. What I think is they both use formatter, so we have no choice but to create a custom grid in here, and maybe that's good, because now we just getting too deep into this magical fields. Let's show how we can extend existing grid by creating a new class, and this can be done with many things in Agile Toolkit. So I'm gonna say my grid extends grid. Just to keep things interesting, I'm going to somehow signal that my grid is actually being used. Echo yes, and exit. Refresh the page, nothing happens because I'm using CRUD over here, and it doesn't know yet that it should actually use my grid. If I go to the implementation of CRUD, okay, view CRUD. Oh, first of all, lib CRUD. Some of the classes in Agile Toolkit are just extending another name. The reason for that is we can define a local class for CRUD, not just extending the view CRUD, but also adding some things, and this gives us ability to override the CRUD class globally, so it's kind of injecting additional functionality inside a standard class. Pretty powerful thing for hardcore developers. And here's the parameter, which is a class used for grid. By default, it's just grid. In our case, we need to change it to my grid, which I just created. So we need to set the value of this parameter inside the CRUD to my grid, and it is possible to do by injecting this parameter inside the add method. So over here, when I create a CRUD, the second parameter goes an array, and grid class my grid. Was it correct? Grid class. Double S. Okay, and you see now it actually tries to use my grid over here, and my check was successful. So now the CRUD is using my grid. It doesn't redefine anything much, so it appears just as a normal grid. And what I want to do is do a bit of custom formatting for this thing over here. So let's define a custom formatter first. My format, and I'm gonna call a method something like that. It would receive a field, and I'm gonna return 1, 2, 3. This method I don't need. Okay, so as you know, grid already comes with a number of formats or formatters, how we call them. One of them is a template, another was called an expander, but now we have our own formatter, which is called an ENR. Okay, so when I'm saying formatter ENR, it should be calling this. And basically what this class needs to do, it needs to change the value of the current row to whatever it feels needed to be there. Let's append all the fields with this value. So it now reuses the value which was there before, but adds additional thing in there. So we could say this current row is equals the previous value total, and put this thing over here. Okay, so we achieve pretty much the same functionality we had before with a template. And now let's see if we could also format it as expander. Missing argument 2. What's the second argument? I don't really know. Field column. Okay, and it's also important this in which sequence we call these. I wonder why it doesn't work.
Maybe there's also an init.
Yeah,
Init
you're
expander.
right. Yeah, we also need to define the init. Right, so this method also needs to be called with a field. It doesn't have X now. Yeah, they're working. Let's see if we can still make that work as well. Hooray! Okay, I got what I wanted. So basically I wanted to have a button which would have some meaningful text on it. And we achieved it by redefining our class and manipulating some of the existing functionality inside our formatter. So just to go through the whole thing again, and Brad, please tell me if something is still unclear. First of all, I had passed a parameter to CRUD that I would like to use my own class for grid. In this class, I defined a new formatter which called ENR. Formatters needs to define two methods. The first one is to initialize it initially. The second method will be called for each row to format an individual field. And in our case, we not only changed the value of the current value of the cell, using this text concatenation with the previous value, but we also relied on the another formatter which would draw the expanding button around the field, and it needed to be called from the init method and from the format method, because this initializes the jQuery UI, and this simply puts the button inside the proper markup. Is it more or less clear?
Yes, very clear. Got it.
I hope, because I was feeling, you know, I'm getting maybe too deep with some of the things here. Right. So we have this button, doesn't open up anything, which leads us to next question. When the expander actually expands, which page does it lead to? And we can look at, you know, what kind of file it tries to open. It's company/uninvoiced/enrollment. This is the type of page it tries to access, and that page doesn't exist. We can either create this page, or, you know, we have a couple of sub pages here. Oh, let's actually create it over here. And I will put some lorem ipsum inside. No, doesn't work. Why? Ah, sorry, page. Okay, so we have now a page which appears when I click on this expander over here. Instead of lorem ipsum, let's add well, first let's add a text equal to, Brad was asking me previously, why do I always use echo? Why I don't use something else? So if I don't want to use echo, I suppose I could use something like JSON encode inside the text, and no. Similar effect as echo, but it outputs properly as you're supposed to output things in Agile Toolkit. Right. So and we,
Romans, I think the question actually was when I was trying to use echo, it was giving me
the exception happens if you echo some output, and then later on you have an object which needs to send some headers. Actually, there's a protection in Agile Toolkit. If it detects that you're outputting something yourself, it says no, you shouldn't do it.
Right. Yes, so that's what we were running into.
If you want to output something properly as a bit of text, and this is how you can do it. This is our ID is equal to 35, and as you can see, it comes either as ID or as a company ID, because we are dealing with a company model. It automatically can suggest us that it would be called the company ID, and this is what I'm gonna use. I'm gonna use get company ID. So I suppose it can give us grid enrollment could give us a list of enrollment for particular company. I think it wasn't capitalized. Right. Yeah, but it shows everything, not invoiced only, but also uninvoiced things. Now, how about we select some of these and then go to the next step, which builds an invoice. So now let's make it possible to select some of the values in here. And first I will separate grid to a variable. Was it add selectable? Okay, let's see what happens now. Maybe it's going to be an error. Yeah, there's an error, but it added the checkbox, and I can use the mouse to select as many as I want. So the method here, add selectable, this is basically a handy wrapper to jQuery UI's selectable property, which explains the lasso. But the argument you need to pass to selectable is so that you can actually do with the IDs which have been selected. And this is how you use it. So you need a form IDs, and the form needs to have a field, and that field needs to be passed over here. Now if I select things, it automatically puts that into a JSON and put inputs inside this field. Okay, so what can we do from here? We could add submit on the button or on the form, and if the F is submitted, we can do something with those IDs. So let's say like this, GS unif get. We also will need to make sure the company ID stays is remembered. So this API sticky get for the company ID. Okay, now I can select view, click save. I'm forgetting execute as usual. And it says 43. There's some sort of array in there because I didn't specify the IDs. Okay, so 43, and this is this JSON value. Okay, now we can actually hide this field over here, so it doesn't distract the user, and he will have this perception that he actually selects some elements and then clicks the button. But in reality, there is a hidden form in there which collects the selected elements and sends it over to the backend. Is everything clear so far for this?
Yeah, so you're using
oh yeah, everything's clear.
two things there. That form is going to collect the information when you submit the form. It sends it to wherever we're going.
Then let's try to use a hidden parameter now. Okay, so select something and then still receive the information, but it's hidden. One other thing about the form is I'm gonna use a different template for the form. I think it was form empty. Right, so I just unhide this for a moment, just to demonstrate what is form empty. And as I know, when you add a form inside Agile Toolkit, they look all fancy, but sometimes we don't really need all this markup around the form. So this alternative template, form empty, is specifically designed to keep form as clean as possible. So you have a label in there, you have a field and a button. They just now follow one after another. So if I'm using a hidden here, I'm simply gonna see the button. There's gonna be no mysterious markup, so no one would have a question, why is it there and where is it coming from? Instead of save, let's call it generate invoice. Okay. Now we need to think of the logic and where to place this logic on how we would like to generate the invoice. I think we should load the load it inside the company's model. So we taking the model of a company and we say, look, the following invoice IDs needs to be sent to whoever is billing person. Right. By the way,
I think that's more like the invoice model,
you want to put that inside an
Just my
invoice
opinion.
model.
but that would be my
Yeah.
opinion, but it's really up to you. Mm,
Okay. Let's put it in here for now because we can always move this functionality in the backend later on. Yeah. What I actually forgot is we need another field in here, which would show us the list of billing people for that particular company. So it's a drop down. With billing people. Okay, so you wanted to be able to select the billing person and then generate invoice for that billing person, right? I just need.
well, the enrollment table actually has the billing ID already.
Okay. Enrollment.
So that table we're looking at here,
Yeah.
that's the enrollment table.
Company.
That actually has a field for billing ID.
But then each enrollment line could be could have a different billing person then.
Right, that's why we built out that form, so that you can only generate invoices. We ran into the problem where either we had this option where we would have to create separate PDF
okay.
files, or we had to create the form from the very beginning where we only show specific billing contact enrollments and then generate an invoice from that.
Okay. What can we do? How about? Sorry.
Looks. I was going to say it looks like you know what, you're pulling from company instead of billing contact.
I'm just kind of collecting all the billings from all the companies, all the billing contacts. Okay, how about we do the following? I will create. Sorry?
I actually like this idea. Let's do it this way for now. Let's do it where you select the enrollments and then you can choose who you want to send it to.
I want to try something else, so I'm gonna create a billing model here. Then I will add a condition. Get. So I only want that particular company's billing people, and then I'm gonna iterate as row for, and I'm gonna use either row or m. I'll use m name. Okay, just to confirm, the billing person is a company ID.
Actually, I think
Billing
that
contact,
it
yeah.
should be billing contact instead of me.
And then all of this is going to be repeated as many times, so that for each person we get another one. Wow, let's see. 52. Don't really need to repeat that. And there is a semicolon missing. Okay, invoice for Brad Demar. Where could we have more than one? Rich Productions looks like they have a couple of billing people there. Okay, yeah, nice example.
Okay.
So invoices for Mike, Lisa, and Nancy, but it doesn't filter out the enrollments by the billing contact yet. Yeah, we can do that now. Right. Okay, not billing ID. No, it is billing ID. What's wrong? Maybe I don't have it in the inside enrollment. Yeah, it's commented out for some reason. Nice. Okay, so we have invoices for Mike, invoices for Lisa, and invoices for Nancy. We don't need this thing anymore because we know. And let's also see if it can actually remember the billing person's ID by saying for billing contact. Okay, 3526 for Mike the Duke. If I click here, Lisa Smith.
Ooh.
Awesome. So one really important thing for me to know here, just explaining what happens and why does it actually work. So as you see that on the first iteration, when this page is displayed, it goes through this initialization here, and it builds 3 headers, 3 grids, and then 3 forms. Each form is unique in its way. When next form is added, it receives a unique ID. So when I submit the form number 2, it will actually know that this is actually form number 2. Now when I click the button here, it will come back to the PHP. It will go through the same loop again, assuming we still have that billing people over there. And when the second form is being added, it will notice that, okay, it's actually being submitted. And that's why this M actually matches to the form which was used in a generation. So it is really intuitive, and it works like magic.
Yeah, that's really great.
So generate invoices. Now we have the IDs. What we need to do is add invoice over here, and then really just set a couple of fields and save it into the database. I'm gonna do save, but before that I'm gonna set a couple of variables. So what do I need to do? ID will be automatic enrollment IDs. We know that, and it's fget IDs. Next, I need billing ID. And we also know that, which is ID. And finally, what else do we need? Company. We don't need company, right? We don't need company, yeah. Okay.
No company.
Do we need a total for the invoice or not yet?
Nope, and just created at.
Do we need to set created add date?
Yep.
Okay. What about the status?
Unsent.
Lovely. And once the invoice is created, do we need to do something with the enrollments here?
Yep, we also need to mark the enrollments as payment pending. I believe the field is...
So how do we get the exact enrollments and that have been selected, and make sure it's not hackable? I'm going to use the enrollment. Here's a model enrollment, which already has a proper condition set. So billing and the company is already set. So I'm going to write gr model, and I would need the SQL. Okay, so it spawns a new DSQL object for me. By the way, if I'm using the DSQL method, anything I'm going to do with the model here, such as the additional where conditions, will have no impact on the model. However, if I use underscore DSQL, then everything I do will have a direct impact on the model from that point on. So DSQL actually clones the select object and gives it to me. And here we need to say ID. Oh, we need to use that crappy function again. Maybe I'll put this after. Actually, it doesn't matter. Where was that find and set function? Similarly, when I call queue expression, it actually generates a new object, new query object, and it doesn't impact the original object. So I can use the expr and inside in queue itself. And I'm saying something is going to be a function call where find and set. We could probably use the gr model here. Get element ID, and inside of this we have get IDs. Okay. Now let's do the queue debug. And right, what do we need to do with them? We need to set, you said the model was invoice status, and we should set payment pending. Is that right, yeah? And we do queue.
That seems right, yeah.
Okay, let's see what's gonna do here. I need to move this line to the bottom over here. Probably what something would explode. I'm feeling. Yeah, and missing argument for expression. Okay, I need to call fix instead. Okay, let's try again. Come on. It says loading in progress. That's interesting. It wiped my database. Okay, I think it's back. I have no idea what happened. That was weird. Maybe something to do with my computer, I don't know. I'll try again. Doesn't look like there is any processes there. Right, so I got the error message saying it exceeds 30 seconds of execution. I'm not sure why. I'll try to simplify and remove a couple of things just to see what happens here. Find and set, okay. Debug. Okay, maybe I'll need to do GR model T-square to have a separate method. Okay, so that's my query now. Select from enrollment where enrollment company ID is 35 and billing ID is 2 and enrollment ID is in the following set 26. I need to take it out of the JSON to the JSON decode. Oops, this one. And do join. Okay, join with a comma. Right, so now I have from enrollment where enrollment company ID and billing ID is 2, find and set enrollment ID is 14 or 26. Well, it looks fine. Now let's try to do the update. Okay, so that's what it's doing. It says update enrollment, set invoice status payment pending, where enrollment is this and 26. Looks pretty fine to me. I'll just select both, click OK, and double check that the status have been updated. No, it's not setting the status. Did I set it correctly? It's enum, right? Enrollment.
Yes.
Oh, there was a space, sorry. I didn't notice the space. Okay. Changing. Get this debug information over here. Now close, collapse, expand, and it's payment pending. So that works. That's good. And now let's look at this other part, which might have been giving us problem. I don't know why. So f get IDs. Now I know we need to do this thing also in here. Join. Okay, billing ID is MID set, and we will save. Okay, let's try now again. So it says file not found. Oh, okay. And model invoice. Right, it says that it's completed. Formatted egg. Invoices. It looks like today's date. Awesome, yeah.
That's it. It worked.
I like it. Okay, all I need to do is remove the debug and just change this. It's awesome. Now, let's go back to invoices, and I'm gonna have two invoices here at the bottom. Do we have time to do the PDF integration? We're 1 hour and a half.
I think we might
Probably,
want to
yes.
push that out to next session.
How about we spend a little bit more time, you know, with questions, just discussing what have been done, how we can proceed further with these things.
Okay. I have a question for you. When you were generating the invoice, back after you actually generate the invoice, is there a way to, what would be the best way to make those disappear? Because it does change their status.
I would simply say, when we showing the grid over here, we simply need to add a condition which says invoice status is not invoice pending. So,
Yep. Yep.
invoice status. We could either use a negation here or do a specific status, status check. Okay, so who has an uninvoiced invoice? I'm gonna select it. Okay, it says created. If I close and open, it's blank. And if I refresh, it still says, oh yeah, then it says 0 now. Right, so that's a number of, okay, who else? This guy has CNN. They need to have invoice done. And now I think we did all the, okay, now there's two more guys. Let's invoice this guy. And one guy remaining. Okay, well, I think we invoiced everyone.
Okay.
Nice. And those are the new invoices. What else we can do? We could probably build some sort of check in here, ideally, to I could submit the form twice, and then it will, if we're only relying on a get arguments in here to create an invoice, that's not actually nice, but so there needs to be some sort of select, just to check that there are those invoices and they really have that particular type status. So they haven't been invoiced yet. And then we would change the status and we will add them to the invoice list of IDs. So if you, let's say, you open the same UI on two computers, you click invoice on the first one, click invoice on the second one. Ideally, we don't want them to create two identical invoices, but that's just a minor thing. Also, probably after they click alert in here, we should refresh the page. Yeah, too bad I invoiced all of them. We could say you need location URL. Okay, that will do the trick. So to show you what exactly happening here. So unif is a chain which all the most of the methods in the unif chain will return the reference to the same chain, which makes them chainable. So alert will show this pop-up. Once the pop-up is being closed, it will proceed to execute the next method, which can change the location of the document. And this method over here, if it doesn't have any arguments, it will give us the URL of the current page. But that's actually not nice, because the current page is page uninvoiced enrollments. We don't want the user to be sent to the unenrolled invoicements. We just need him to go to the list of companies. So we need to say company in here. Okay, let's go inside enrollments, edit. What about this status? Okay, now we have someone with an invoice. Okay, and refresh the page. So that takes care of that problem.
Perfect.
This is big header, and let's make it slightly shorter. The problem is it's coming from the model, and we could change caption, of course, but since I already show you how we can change the formatter for the field, you might be interested how can we change the caption of not the field but the column. How can change the caption? And so the trick here is grid basic. When grid initialize a new column, it has a field called columns. That's a property columns, and then goes a name, and inside that name it has a description. So that we basically need something like that. Ideally, there should be a method to changing that, but there is no method. If you need to change, that's for now the only way. Grid column description. Okay, so now it only says uninvoiced. Just experiment. I'm not sure if it will work or not. I want to see if we can make it ordered by this column. So we need to do here grid model set order. Apparently I can't do it. Let's see. Enrollments. And it's on the bottom. We need the descending order. And now it's on the top. Okay, now it shows all the companies, but the uninvoiced companies are being shown on top.
Perfect.
Okay. And then there is invoices. Maybe we could build some invoice viewer later on.
Yeah, we might want to, let's see, you're on
company. That's a company.
What page are you on? Are you on the invoices page? Oh, you're okay. Okay. Never mind.
How about I show you another interesting trick about how we can reuse pages. And so basically,
sure.
We have this page invoices, and it's a pretty cool page on its own. It shows us, invoices, and what we can do is if the company ID is get hold on a second. Let's do, instead of CR, I'm gonna use this CR. Really simple change, like CR, so that this CRUD reference could be accessed from elsewhere. Now you might ask, why do we need to do it in a page? Because no one is really interacting with page. But we can extend pages. For example, in company, I'm gonna add expander for the invoice count as well. And let's go back to the company. What's going on? Okay, unvoiced invoice count. So let's change the formatter for invoice count. Yeah, and as you see, basically what I'm doing here is I'm using the same formatter for that other field, and it works perfectly. Now I have two of them there. Okay, so now I have uninvoiced, which is total 4, and invoiced total 1 and total 4. Goes to company invoice count. Now I could have added a new field here, but instead I'm gonna add the class page, the file. Company invoice. Okay, and this is where I'd like to extend existing page. So I'd like to say class page company invoice count extends page invoice with the S. Let's see if that will work. Okay, and you see all the invoices in here. Pretty awesome. So I can close this one and I'll open another one, and it shows all the invoices again. So it's basically the same page I'm using here, but no one knows it. Plus I could extend this in it, and as you remember, there is a property, this CR, and I could actually ask access model. Well, for now, let me do something really simple and select billing ID equals 37. Just to see if it will work. Element billing. Okay. Yeah, and we have only that particular billing ID, but it needs to be. ID is this is actually a billing ID, but in the get parameter we have company ID. Okay, let's do a bit of traversal on the model company, load this record over here, and then we can traverse into billing. Right, something like that. Okay, now because this is a one-to-many traversal, this will give us a model. It's not gonna have any specific ID, but it allows us, basically it limits us to that particular range. Let me show you. If I add grid, model M, I think it should show me all the billing people for that particular company. Okay, what does it say? Call company. No, that's right. That's true. Ah, okay, I see. So company, does it have reference to the billing people? It has many enrollments. This has many billing, and the relationship is company ID. So that relation just wasn't defined there. Okay, and what do I have? I have a CRUD here, and this is a list of billing people. And there was what was the name of the company with multiple people? Rich.
It was Rich Products.
Rich Products. And there you go. You have 3 billing people in there. Now what we need to do is we need to have expression out of this model so we can use it into condition for the other model. So how do we get expression from M field query ID? Well, let's see how this works. Again, what I'm trying to do here is eliminate unnecessary queries. Let's say select ID from billing where billing company is 35. Really nice expression. Now, if we could in here, oops, add condition billing ID, instead of using 37, I'm going to use exp and exp here as well. So now when I expand this, it should show me the invoices only relative to those billing people who are in that particular company. Yeah, so that's ID 37 over here.
Okay.
And that's 1, and so on. So pretty awesome.
Cool.
And this time I didn't use join, so it uses a subselect. But still, it's a single query. I could do a subselect if I wanted to by joining the model with the billing and then adding condition on the company ID. It also is possible, but there's not much of the speed difference between 2. Okay, what do you think, Lee?
I think Lee went to get something to eat.
Yeah. Right. What about a question from our audience? Anyone else have any additional questions or some quick ideas what we could do over here, or we're gonna call it a day? Bob is typing. Yeah, thanks, Bob. So Bob didn't have any question, and probably we should call it then.
Yeah, I think that was enough for one session, and in the next session we can cover
Right.
the
What I might
PDFs
do
and
is
everything else.
I'm gonna play a little bit with the PDFs, because the interesting thing I discovered is that this particular PDF processor you have sent me earlier today uses Composer, which is a dependency manager for PHP. And so it happens that Agile Toolkit also supports the Composer. So maybe next time we delete Agile Toolkit and we write a proper Composer JSON file, dependency file for a project, and I'll show you how that can work and how we can keep everything integrated through some industry standard tools. So we'll start with that, and we can also maybe play with sending out invoices with attachments. Okay, it was nice to talk to you.
Sounds
and
great.
Please do send me some other topics we could look into next week. And bye. Thanks for coming.